What's going on, everybody? Breaking news. Pardon the interruption, as they say. But yeah, doing a breaking news stream tonight. The news just broke. I just saw it maybe an hour, maybe a couple hours ago. I want to get into it. The news doesn't directly affect the Monroeville Mall, but indirectly, it certainly does. So we'll go ahead and get into it here. I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. I just wanted to hop on here and give my thoughts on this because it is a relevant piece of news here as it concerns the Monroeville Mall and as well as the Living Dead weekend. So I wanted to hop on here. This is courtesy of CBSNews.com and KDKA News in Pittsburgh. The hotel next to the Monroeville Convention Center is closing. Now, that hotel, of course, is the infamous DoubleTree Hotel, which has kind of been the go-to hotel for Dawn fans and anybody visiting the mall and patrons of the Living Dead weekend. Yeah, a lot of stories. A lot of good times at that DoubleTree. But yes, the hotel's closing. KDKA TV has learned the DoubleTree by Hilton Monroeville is closing at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. That's tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. They literally just up and said, "Okay, we're closed. Not opening again tomorrow." Actually, I think let me just read this article here before we break it down. The news comes weeks after the announcement that the convention center is closing June 1st. Hang on, there's like a goddamn video pop up right in the way. Okay. It's closing June 1st. Vendors have had their contracts canceled as the space is transitioning to a Hobby Lobby. Fucking Hobby Lobby, of course. Though the lease is only for half the space. Nearby business owners say the decision to close the convention center will hurt significantly. Now, this is a pretty important piece of the article here that doesn't spell. It doesn't sound good for the future of the Monroeville Mall and the town of Monroeville in general. A hotel employee told KDKA TV earlier this month that 60% of the hotel's business comes from the convention center. That's I can vouch for that. That's huge. Um, Anytime that I've been in Monroeville and I've stayed at that hotel for Living Dead weekend, there's always another there's always two groups of people there. There's people there for Living Dead weekend, and then there's a baseball tournament or something or a convention or something going on next door. I don't know if they do weddings there, but I feel like I always see weddings, like wedding receptions and stuff at that hotel. But 60% of the hotel's business comes from that convention center. That's huge. I mean, that in and of itself will close a business. And you got to think that some of that, transfers over to the Monroeville Mall. How much of the Monroeville Mall's business comes from people coming to that convention center? I mean, the convention center, I know probably best known amongst horror fans and Romero fans is the home of Still CityCon every year, which is a pretty huge convention. It's a much bigger convention than Living Dead weekend, and that's I guess no longer going to be. So I mean that's a huge chunk, and I mean you got to think of all the people that are going to that convention. How many of those, especially something like that, Still CityCon, which is pretty big convention, probably the biggest in Pittsburgh, if I were to guess. If I'm still to this, I guess today probably it would be. But how many of those convention goers are going to the mall? Just because it's where Dawn of the Dead was, or even if you're not, even if you don't care that it's the mall from Dawn of the Dead, there's literally a mall right down the road. So I mean, if you got free time or whatnot, I mean, people will go to that mall and shop and spend money and keep that mall alive. So yeah, that's huge. So here's a quote from I got from one of the people staying at the hotel currently. "I just woke up to a voicemail on my phone saying there were unforeseen circumstances that I needed to check out tomorrow, which is a day early for me," said Tim Tipton, who is visiting from Kentucky. Yeah, go Kentucky. So yeah, they're literally closing the hotel. I mean, even the people, I know Living Dead weekend's coming up in June. That's usually the hotel that works with Living Dead weekend to to set aside a block of rooms for the convention goers. I'm sure all those reservations been canceled. If you had a reservation for that hotel for Living Dead weekend this year, um, I mean, it's canceled. I mean, they're closing shop tomorrow. Literally, people staying at the hotel currently are being booted out, like this dude a day early. So I mean it's crazy that there's no they just said, "Fuck it, we're closing." Um So I guess the interviewer says you were asking questions to the staff. Tipton said, "Yeah, I tried to ask. They just said they couldn't say anything and they didn't know what was going on. They just found out they were closing." So I guess everybody found out at the exact same time. Monroeville's mayor Nick Graysock, however you pronounce that, said he is heartbroken that the hotel is closing. He said he is more determined than ever to save the convention center. KDKA TV reached out to the owner of the hotel for comment, but did not hear back. So, pretty big news for the city of Monroeville. I mean, the hotel in itself is, probably one of the biggest buildings, biggest structures in Monroeville. So it's like, very visible, right there on the strip in Monroeville, or um, so I mean, it's been there for years and years and years. It used to be the Sheraton back in the day, I believe. Um, So yeah, that's really big news, in my opinion, in terms of the future of the mall. So yeah, the convention center closing is gonna hurt a lot of business. I mean, the Steel City Con is gonna be done for. I mean, they hold stuff there all the time. I mean, it's one of the biggest like money drawing um, things that Monroeville has right now is that convention center, and the fact that they're closing it. And putting in, a Hobby Lobby. It doesn't matter what's going there. It's just kind of, it's not good for the community of Monroeville. And we're seeing it already. I mean, I kind of like when I heard about the convention center closing, it kind of started, bouncing around in my head. It's like, ooh, I don't know that doesn't sound good for that whole surrounding area there, including the mall. And And then today, here we are. The hotel, the DoubleTree, is literally closed as of tomorrow at 10 a.m. Um, so yeah, if you had a room booked there for a Living Dead weekend, or if you were planning, I mean, literally, that's the hotel where everybody. I mean, I've run into more of the guests at these conventions in that hotel lobby than I have, at the convention. It seems like. Um, down at the lobby at night after the convention, it's where all the fans hang out, and we, sit, bullshit, smoke cigarettes, drink beer, whatever. Um, so yeah, I knew the hotel wasn't in the best condition, um, in terms of like keeping up with like the amenities and the just keeping up. I mean, the hotel rooms, it was a really overpriced hotel. I mean, if you're going for, I'm sure for Living Dead weekend, they probably jack prices up. Um, so I mean, they, not the best hotel rooms, but it's just what it signifies. It's not good when everything around the Monroeville Mall is closing shop and dying. Because like I said, a lot of people that were going to that convention center for whatever reason, more than likely, I mean, we saw this. I read you the statistic about the hotel. It's 60% of that hotel's business came from that convention center. So you got to think a good percentage of that translates over to the mall. Um, and that there's stuff going on at that convention center year round. I mean, I mean, obviously, Living Dead weekend taking place there helps the mall. It keeps the patronage up, and money being spent in those stores and the food court and all that. But that's just once a year. That convention center was you know kind of keeping people in that area year round. So with that going away, the hotel going away, man, it's not looking good. I don't think it's not something that I wouldn't freak out and say, "Holy shit, the mall's closing," by next year or something like that. I don't think it's going to be that quick, but I do think this, unfortunately, is kind of the first domino to fall. Um, I guess in the overall scheme of things, the first domino to fall would have been the convention center. Now this is, the hotel closing is kind of the next domino, and I think it's just going to keep going from there. And I think, unfortunately, um, I don't even like saying, I don't even want to say it, but I mean, unfortunately, I feel like the mall's days are kind of, I mean, like I said, it's not going to be within a year or anything, but I think within the next 5 years or so, I think that mall's going to start to decline drastically. And of course, I mean, malls all across the country. I mean, that's kind of been the struggle of the mall staying open all this time and still being in existence, is that malls all over the place are closing and struggling. I mean, there's empty, dead malls all over the place here. Right down the road in Owensboro, they just closed that shopping mall. That shopping mall in Owensboro there was an FYE there back in the day, and that's where I first bought Dawn of the Dead on VHS. So it kind of sucked seeing that mall close. There's a mall here, the first mall ever in the state of Indiana, Washington Square Mall. I mean, it's a ghost town. Like it's completely empty. Um, so I mean, just the fact that Monroeville Mall is still open and operating today is a good sign. I mean, that's a good thing. But I just think kind of the path that we're headed down now, especially with because I mean the hotel and the mall were so closely intertwined. Um, and just that little area of business there are all very dependent on each other, and the fact that two of them are going away and the mall is going to be pretty much the only thing left standing is, it's definitely worrying. And like I said, I think within the next 5 years or so, we'll unfortunately start to see the decline of the Monroeville Mall. And but I mean, you never know. I mean, we're all hoping that's not the case, but um, but yeah, it really sucks that that hotel's closing. Like I said, I would bitch about that hotel all the time. I think I did a live stream live from that hotel, bitching about the Wi-Fi or whatever. But I have a lot of good memories, um, in that hotel. It's first trip, first family vacation to the mall. We stayed at that hotel. Had a beautiful, beautiful view of the mall, and from our room. I mean, that's going away. Think about that. I mean, that's you know. Um, the elevator in that mall, I'll always remember just something silly, my daughter was less than a year old at the time. The elevator would beep as it would hit different floors. It'd go beep, beep. Every beep, she would, she'd just start giggling and laughing. So, um, that was, the lobby. I bumped into Tom Savini in the lobby and had a good interaction with Tom Savini. Like I said, if you meet Tom Savini outside of a convention, he seems to be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It just really sucked. It's not what I wanted to see. What are you guys saying here in the comments? I got a lot of comments. Suzanne Her, what's up? Good to see you. It's been a while. Yeah, the hotel right across the street, and it was such a convenient hotel for the event because you're literally right across the street. I mean, you can walk from your hotel room to the mall. I mean, it's very very convenient location for Living Dead weekend. It is funny that um, Living Dead weekend, the first one I went to back in 2021, that they were doing the Return of the Living Dead reunion, and that's where Miguel Nunez he was staying at the hotel. And I remember I got up really early that morning, and it was probably like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it crack of dawn, nobody was up, and I'm sitting there at the window, and I'm having a coffee or whatever. I was, probably smoking a cigarette, which you weren't supposed to smoke in those hotel rooms, but the cool thing about those hotels, the hotel rooms where you can open the window. So you could either smoke or jump out depending on your mood. Um, uh, but anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm looking over at the mall. I mean, complete geek move. I mean, I wake up early in the morning to watch this, to watch the dawn, the sunrise over the Monroeville Mall, from my hotel room, having a coffee and a cigarette. And then down in the parking lot, I see this well dressed, like snazzy, well dressed dude walking across the parking lot. Just got this swagger, and he's feeling himself. And I was like, "Who the fuck is that? That dude, he's ready for something today." And I look closer, I'm like, "Holy shit, it's Miguel Nunez." And he's just kind of walking through the parking lot. He looks up and he sees me in the window, and he waves, gives me the hey. I wave back, and he's walking to the mall 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know if the mall is even open or what he was doing, but he was fucking ready for the convention that day. Um, so yeah, I'll always remember that. Just the "What's up" from, Miguel Nunez. Um, but yeah, it's, yeah, the one let's see, Suzanne, let me catch up on your comments here. Yeah, perfect nerd hub, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just hanging out, after the convention at night, I mean, people would be outside hanging out in front of in front of the DoubleTree until all hours of the night. I mean, it was crazy. Um, just, having some beers and chatting and, people hanging out in the lobby. Every time I've been there, the bar's been closed, it seems like, but I've heard stories about that, the DoubleTree, the hotel bar there. Suzanne says, she was there at the Dawn of the Dead 25th anniversary in '99. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that hotel had been around. It used to be the Sheraton. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the hotel that the cast and the crew stayed at, um, if I'm not mistaken. It would make total sense because I mean, I know that hotel was, around back then. Um, Will, what's up, man? Good to see you again. They can't take the mall away from us. Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that they don't. I mean, like I said, there's nothing imminent. Like there's no news, there's no bad news already, but I just feel like I just got this feeling like this is just kind of the first step, within the next 5, 10 years. I mean, it may we may be in the mall may be in its last days, unfortunately. Because there's so much business that convention center brought. 60% of that hotel's business came from that convention center, and that hotel just said, fuck it, we're done. Like, we're closed tomorrow. Like, that's it. Um, that's really, really tough. And I mean, you hear in the article they say the mayor is determined to save the convention center, and maybe he can. I don't know the politics of it. I don't know the situation. I do know that that convention center is owned by the same people that own Monroeville Mall. I believe they still own it. I know it's the name of the company that owns that convention center is the same company that owned the mall back when they shot the movie, Oxford Development. Um, so I don't know if it can be saved at this point, but I mean that'd be a big deal. I don't know why they would even. So I mean, fucking Hobby Lobby, man. Like, who gives a shit? Yeah, they're not even open on Sundays. Zombie Grease, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Sucks they are closing. The economy is tough right now everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I guess these things are unavoidable, and economy wise and stuff. Um, but it was nice having that little pocket of businesses and stuff right there. Um, to kind of help keep that mall alive and keep people going in. Uh, so with these two things going away, I mean, there's not, the locals are still gonna go to the mall. The locals are still gonna, shop. But I'm sure that mall banked on having outsiders visiting that mall, not just Dawn fans, but people that were visiting the convention center for whatever, a baseball card show or whatever, a fucking swap meet. I don't know what else they had there. But I mean, you're literally right down the road from a mall, and 9 times out of 10, you leave the convention center, you're in your hotel, and you're okay. Let's go check out the mall. Let's see what's over there, or you're hungry. Let's go to the Red Robin or whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it just feels like it's going to be kind of a domino effect here, and it's unfortunate. But like I said, I don't know. Maybe the mayor can save the convention center. I know they're. I mean, I know that's still CityCon. I mean, you look at some of the guest lists and stuff. I've never been to one myself, but you look at the guest list, and you can tell that it was a pretty big con in the Pittsburgh area. Um, so with that going away, I mean that's a huge chunk of you know uh, of capital going away. Not coming into Monroeville as it is. I mean, Monroeville is not. There's not a lot to do in Monroeville that's going to bring outsiders in, but Suzanne says woke up on the morning before we left and was fortunate enough to have the view of the mall as well. I mean, it's like first time like I dreamed of going to this mall for 20 years, like ever since I was a kid, and for some reason it just felt so out of reach. and which is why I continue to tell you guys, if you love the film and you've always wanted to go to the mall, go, because it's not always going to be there. And with news like what we got today, like, who knows? You know, who knows how long it's still going to be, you know, operating and open or whatever. But I mean, it was, yeah, pretty amazing waking up early. I think it was like a Saturday morning. It was like one of the no, it may have been Friday morning, maybe been the first day of the convention. Either way, waking up early enough to catch the sunrise, over the mall, and it's like, oh, dawn of the dead, get it. Um, but yeah, for a huge nerd like me who had dreamed of visiting that mall for most of his life, to get to be able to do that and actually have a hotel room. And I mean, that hotel room is where, the last night of our first trip there as a family, it was, of course, 4th of July. So they had the firework display, above the mall. And we just got to hang out in our room and have a couple of drinks. And, Everly kid was asleep and we just, had a good time. So I don't know. Well, a lot of good memories at that hotel. Yeah, it would be a fucking Hobby Lobby, you got that right. Titanic Discussions, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Greetings, Alpha and everyone. I know the mall has changed a lot since 1978. Could you tell us what is left in the movie? Thanks for the great channel. Um, yes, it has. I mean, it's been 45 years. I mean, a lot has changed about the Monroeville Mall over the years. The bridge and a lot of the plant life and stuff's no longer there. The clock towers, that's gone. The ice rink's gone. A lot of it is changed quite a bit. But if you know the movie, and my friend Matt put this the best way, is like, if you know the movie and you know the movie, when you walk into that mall, there's no mistaking it. It's like, yeah, this is it. This is the mall from Dawn of the Dead. I mean, the bones are still there. Like, there's just something in the air. There's an essence. The entranceway, there's a back entrance where the big loading dock is and all that. Where the bikers break into the mall, they go into the loading dock. That looks almost identical to how it did in the movie. Like, that's always the entrance that I go into when I go to the mall. Um, because I mean, there very, very little has changed about that entrance. I think they took down a staircase or something, a couple of years ago, but other than that, I mean, it looks pretty much spot on. And if you were to ever go, which I'm saying, guys, now or never. Like, this is no better time than now, especially with all this stuff going on around it. If you want to visit the mall, go. And I highly recommend going during the Living Dead weekend, which this year it's in June. Um, Go during Living Dead weekend. Take Larry's tour, and Larry will actually get you in all the spots that most people can't get to. Like the staircase that goes up to the hideout, that's still there, and that looks almost identical to how it did in the movie. I mean, it was incredible. The back hallways, the boiler room or engine room or whatever you want to call it, that all looks and sounds exactly the same. Like, if you know that sound of those engines running in the movie, it like I remember walking into that and hearing those engines running and thinking like, oh my god, it sounds exactly like it did in the movie, and it just gave me chills. Um, so there are some things that still look, and the lighting, the light fixtures at the top of the mall are still exactly the same. So there's still all that there, and of course the Living Dead Museum is there as well, and they still have, like, they have the original elevator from the J.C. Penney's, which the J.C. Penney's is no longer there. It's now a movie theater. But they were able to save the elevator from J.C. Penney's, and they have that on display in the museum. Pieces of the escalator, stuff like that. But no, I mean, it has changed, but I highly recommend going if you've ever wanted to go. And like I said, who knows how much longer it's going to be there. I don't mean to be, Debbie Downer or anything, but I just associated that mall and that hotel so closely together that when I heard the news today that the hotel was just like closing, just saying I'm done. Um, it was just kind of a slap in the face, but good to see you in here, man. It's been a little bit. Let's see. Just picked up Titanic on 4K too. I can't wait to check that out. Just talking about Titanic for a second. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. Um, well, Phelps, I would have dreams about visiting the mall and the museum when it was originally there. I literally like when I was taking the tour with Larry and we got to the staircase. So I've literally had a dream, almost like a reoccurring dream over years, where I was sitting, in that kind of like Fran was in the movie, just sitting on that staircase and just sitting there. I don't know why, but I would have that dream. And when I took the tour and we got to the staircase, and I was like, hey, I told Larry as everybody was leaving, I was like, can I hang back for a minute? And he was like, oh, sure, man, take your time. I was like, yeah, it's been 20 years. I've been literally dreaming of this moment. So I got to, just kind of sit on the staircase for a second, look around, take it in. Um, but yeah, and I always told myself I don't remember if I shed a tear or not, but I remember all the years leading up to my first visit, always thinking like, "There's no fucking way I'm not just gonna just cry when I walk into that mall for the first time." I got emotional. I still get like real nervous. Like it's one thing about the convention. Like when I first get to the convention, I'm still kind of jittery and nervous just because I'm like in the mall and it's like all just kind of hitting me. It's pretty overwhelming for me as a real nerd. Uh, Suzanne says, "I wish you could go." Well, go. I'm telling you. No time better than the present. Especially with the news that we've got about the DoubleTree and um, the convention center closing. So if you can, I definitely take a trip, especially this year. Like I said, take Larry's tour. He can take you everywhere. I mean, there's literally it's a guided tour as for you Titanic, if you ever go and take the tour, he's literally he has a booklet of like all the different shots in different locations in the mall, and you can match up certain things and you can see like, oh yeah, that's where they shot this or that's where they shot that. It's a great tour. So it's about 2 or 3 hours long. I mean, it's a pretty good extensive tour. But um but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of I don't know, it just kind of hit me. I was like, we always wondered, and I was watching Born to Be Rad's channel. He was talking about horror movies that take place in malls, and he got to Dawn of the Dead, and uh, and he was talking about the mall. He was like, I don't know if that mall's still open or not. And I commented, I was like, yeah, it's still open. It's still going strong. And then get this news, and it's just kind of like, damn, that just kind of I don't know how much longer it's going to be open, but yeah, I don't know. That kind of sucks. I don't know if I was planning on staying. I didn't have a reservation for it. I'll say that. But like I said, it kind of sucks for everybody that did because, like I said, Living Dead weekend, they do hold like a block of rooms for the convention goers. Like I said, it's literally right across the street from the mall. I mean, it's the perfect location. And just with this news breaking, I'm guessing a lot of people are going to be without a room for the Living Dead weekend this year. But there are other hotels around the area. Nothing in walking distance, quite like the DoubleTree. Um, but I'm sure when people find room here, yeah, we'll stay in Evan City. That's a good idea. I'm probably I don't know about Evan City. I don't think there's really a whole lot of hotels in Evan City, not that I know of. But there's like in the surrounding areas, like the hotel I stayed at in October for Living Dead weekend, and that in the Evan City Living Dead weekend, was pretty nice. I mean, it was pretty fairly priced and had a microwave and a fridge and a TV, and I was happy about that. Um, so yeah, I don't know where I'll be planning on staying. I've probably something like that, maybe a little bit outside of Monroeville or outside of Pittsburgh, somewhere a little cheaper. Because I mean, I would. And this is stupid, but I would always like um, um, just pay the outrageous price to get a room at the DoubleTree, just so I can stay at the DoubleTree and just so I can have that the view of the mall from my room. And I remember when I would book the room through like booking.com or whatever, I'd literally put in the comments like, please, I prefer a room overlooking the mall, thank you. I'm sure they got that. They're just like, what the fuck is this? What is this? um yeah, okay, Cranberry Township, that's where I stayed, for Evan City. I forget what the hotel was called, but, I mean, it was fairly priced. The bar was open, so, I mean, at the end of the day, you can go down to the bar like, I think one of the days I went down there and had a couple of glasses of scotch, just to kinda mellow out, and So I mean, I'll look up and see what that hotel is. I'll let you know, man. I'll shoot you a message and see if that's something you'd be interested in. But yeah, yeah, just you know, we'll see what happens with the Monroeville Mall. Like I said, over the next 5, 10 years. Um, don't worry, man. I'm getting you. I'm picking up what you're dropping. Um, but yeah, next 5 to 10 years, it's really hard to say. You know where the mall's going to end up, and how that's going to work out, or because I mean, putting a Hobby Lobby there. I mean, Hobby Lobby's not going to bring in any new patrons to the Monroeville Mall, and yeah, I don't know. You wonder though. I mean, if with the hotel closing like that as quickly as it did, I mean, is that somebody trying to play, some kind of politics to try to keep the convention center open? I really don't know, but just it sucks to think about all the jobs that are being lost because of this, and staff. I've never had an issue with staff at the DoubleTree. I mean, every people work at the desk, or the cleaning services, or whoever I interact with. I mean, everybody was always very nice, very accommodating, and I'm sure it was a little odd having a hotel full of, let's face it, crazy looking motherfuckers, and black t-shirts with severed heads and shit on them all weekend. But I mean, they couldn't have been cooler. Just so curious about why you were there, and they were just interested about the movie, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we heard there was a movie shot over there," and all that. Um, yeah, just really good people. It sucks that they're they're out of a job now, as of tomorrow. So um, hopefully something changes. Maybe who knows, but yeah, like I said, hopefully, you know, unless something changes the next 5 to 10 years, I think the mall, may be in trouble. So, as the title of this video has teased, tried to use a little clickbait on you guys and be like, "Oh my god, the mall's closing." Like, no, not quite. The mall's fine now, but over time, I mean, just in general, I mean, malls in general are kind of on the downturn, kind of on the decline. So, um, but who knows? 5, 10 years from now, I mean, vinyl records came back, as you can see. So, who knows? Malls may come into vogue again, but I don't know, man. I just feel like we're I don't know, we're descending into a dystopian, world where we're just going to do everything as I'm doing right now, doing everything on the computer, shopping and everything, which we're all guilty of, and it's it is what it is. But you know, I guess it sucks if you're a Dawn of the Dead fan. It's not so bad if malls go away, but if the mall goes away, man, I like everybody knows it was going at some point, but I don't know. I don't want to be negative. Let's hope that it stands the test of time and it keeps going. Nerds. Yeah, that's what the fucking cleaning ladies think, probably, when they're watching us nerds walk in. They're like, "Oh my god, not them again." Now the Thorny, yeah, man, I appreciate it. I was able to pick that up. It's a little damaged, but I've always wanted one, and they're really fucking expensive. And I found that one for a really, really good price online, so I couldn't pass it up. And they're really, really hard to frame too. I had to put it in a 27 by 41 frame just because of the width of it. Um, but yeah, I appreciate it, man. I've always dug that book, because I mean that was the VHS cover that I grew up with, that you'd see in all the mom and pop video stores. Um, but yeah, good to see you in here, man. Glad to see you. But yeah, I'll check. I'll try to remember what that hotel is called, and I'll let you know if that's unless you got something in mind, you can fill me in on. Because like I said, I've always just kind of stayed at the DoubleTree. So I don't know. I kind of feel like a kid without a home right now. I'm like, I don't know where I'm gonna stay. I'm not gonna go to Living Dead weekend. I don't know where I'm gonna stay. Um, but we'll be fine, guys. The thing that kind of sucks the most though is that we all, like, everybody kind of knew like the DoubleTree was kind of the place to hang, like down, outside downstairs. I mean, I remember sitting there next to Joe Shelby after one of the shows, and I was just smoking a cigarette, and he was having a beer, and we were just, "Hey, what's up, man? You doing okay? Yeah, you having a good time? Yeah, it's pretty crazy that, all these years later, we're still just hanging out here at this fucking mall, right?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, let me tell you." So, you're just, this is just the place to hang. That's where everybody stayed. I mean, it just kind of sucks that it's going away. So, let's hopefully, maybe we'll find something. Maybe we'll find another hang spot, and going forward, nice another hotel lobby somewhere. Maybe one with a bar, preferably. That'd be cool. I know the one at the DoubleTree, there was a bar there, but it was always fucking closed for whatever reason. I like this idea. Let's rent a camper and stay in a parking lot. Good. I like that idea. Let's just fucking stay in the mall. Shit, I've heard of people. They stay after hours to kind of help clean up at the convention and stuff, and just kind of packing a sleeping bag and sleeping in one of the stores. That would be the dream. That would be my dream. Like, if I could just sleep in the mall one night, just have a sleepover in the mall, that would be that would be my dream come true. But this is a close second. This is a good idea. Definitely not. My parents have a camper. Maybe they'll let me borrow it. I'll just park it out in front of the loading dock entrance. That'd be perfect. That's poor people coming in the next day, and coming into fucking shop and whatnot. And there's people camped out in front of the entrance. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Matt Landrum, what's up, man? Good to see you. We always stay at the Courtyard by Marriott. It's only a few lights down from the mall, not too bad. I think I've looked at that one before. Yeah, there's definitely some different options around there. Courtyard by Marriott. I have stayed at the Red Roof, which is a cheap, alternative, but it gets the job done. It's a bed, and the Red Roof's right down the road from there. There's a number of hotels around that area, but um, so yeah, it seems like they all know when the fucking Living Dead weekend's coming up though, because they all hike those prices up. Um, yeah, yeah, slumber party at the Monroeville Mall. Let's do it. We should try to talk. We should try to get that arranged. See if we could do that. Just even in one of the stores where the booths and stuff are. Shit, I'll sleep under. You know, I'll sleep under Lenny Lee's booth or something. He what comes in the next morning ready to set up, and I'm just down there fucking sawing logs and drooling everywhere. Uh, yeah, good to see you, Matt. Um, but yeah, that's I guess that'll pretty much wrap it up. I just wanted to hop on here and you know just kind of reading that and just kind of going through my head. It's like, oh no, here we go. It's like it's all kind of happening, um, but let's just be grateful and happy that nothing's happening to the mall yet. The mall's still there, and the mall's fine as of right now. But like I said, I just think it's kind of a bad omen for things to come. But hopefully, I'm wrong. I'd never be more happy to be wrong in my life than if something were to come and turn these fortunes around. But yeah, you too, man. Will Phelps, glad to have you in here tonight, man. Good to talk to you again. Matt, same to you. Zombie Grease, good to have you in here. Titanic Discussion, Suzanne Herr. Um, Glad you guys stopped by to kind of soothe my soothe my sadness a little bit. Yeah, Suzanne saying, yeah, it's bad all over for malls. Yeah, like I was saying, so many dead malls around here, and it just seems like they're closing left and right. But uh, thank you for stopping in. It was good to hear from you. Matt Lander, the tide could change at any time. Count your blessings that you've been able to go as many times as you have, and continue to go as often as you can. Yeah, and I'll leave you guys. That's a perfect ending point there from Matt. And I am very and it, also just to be selfish or whatever for a second here. I do kind of get pissed at myself that I didn't go sooner. That I waited as long as I did. But I'm kind of glad that I waited as long as I did. Just the sentimental aspect of it, of going to the mall for the first time, you know, with my firstborn child, I could have gone years before, under different circumstances, and it may have ruined everything. But just going for the first time and having my family with me and all that, it was just it was the perfect trip. So I'm in a way kind of glad, but yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good leaving off point here. Um, if you've ever wanted to go, go. And 'cause like I said, it's not always gonna be there, but, don't quit making excuses. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Literally, ask the fine employees at the DoubleTree. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Um, so yeah, if you ever wanted to go, take it in, just say you did it. Yeah, have that story to tell, and because it's not always going to be there, unfortunately. Just like with the airport, I'm so glad I got to visit the airport before they tore that down, because that was a location that looked pretty much exactly the way it did in the movie. Um, Will, you saying you teared up first time you saw Pittsburgh for the first time? Well, you'd have to ask my fiance. I remember we were driving from the airport into Pittsburgh, and it was pouring down rain. And I think the moment that I saw Fort Pitt Tunnel, or Fort Pitt Tunnel right in front of me, and then the sign up above that said, Pittsburgh, Monroeville. I think when I saw that, I just got really quiet and just like, holy shit, I'm here. I'm really here. After all these years of dreaming and wishing and hoping and planning and plans falling through and all that, and then you finally make it, and it's just like, oh, the motherland. Um, but there is no better feeling than going through that tunnel and coming out the other end, and you're just like literally right in the middle of downtown Pittsburgh. It's just like boom, right there in front of you. It's just like wow. Still love doing that to this day. But glad you all stopped by. Good to see everybody tonight. And like I said, just want to hop on here, break the news that the DoubleTree is closing as of tomorrow at 10 a.m. And we'll see what comes next. But I guess that's the one thing that we can kind of. I know I've seen some. I keep trying to wrap this up, but I keep fucking rambling. Um, but I have seen some petitions online trying to save the convention centers. I think mostly a lot of from workers and people associated with Steel City Con. So if you see any of those out, make sure you sign those and let people know that you want that convention center still there, because the convention center survives, you know, the hotel survives, Monroeville Mall survives. So I think they're all interconnected there. So um, but well, I'll leave it with that. You guys have a great rest of the night. I appreciate you stopping in. Good to hear from all you. And I'll see you guys whenever I see you, whatever I'm doing next time. But until then, I'll leave you with two thoughts. Until then, fuck Hobby Lobby and stay scared. Good night.